In the past few years, people have joined witchcraft in incredible numbers. And I believe that it is because they are putting these things in movies and many people are unaware of what they are. Here's some examples of how many movies use the elemental witchcraft as part of their storyline.
Shrine of the four elements, earth, fire, air, and water.
Legend has it that when he controlled the four statues, he was master of the four elements.
It's an ancient figure which represents the four elements.
It represents the four elements.
A witch's magic comes from four elements: fire, water, earth, and air.
At the center of the four direction, the four elements.
And the others must be the four elements that the Mondiathans worshipped.
Four elements. Gathered around the fifth. The supreme being, the ultimate mind, created to protect life.
Elemental witchcraft is the use of earth, wind, fire, water, all centered around the fifth element, which is spirit. This is the basic building blocks of magic. So listen to what these real-life Wiccan witches and how they teach about the use of magic.
My name's Bee. I have been a practicing hedge witch for 12 years. So when you call circle, you address each one of the elements in their various directions, and you ask them to join you in your sacred space.
So pay attention to the way that she talks about calling a circle, addressing the elements and inviting them into your sacred space. That's going to be important when we look at Frozen and how Elsa calls circle. The basic introduction to witchcraft is learning how to work with these elements.
I am going to be talking about some beginner concepts of Witchcraft 101. Today we are going to be focusing on the 5 elements of witchcraft and calling circle with them: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And we use all 5 of these within witchcraft to create magic.
Hi, my name is Benta. I'm the Norse witch. So the elements that witches work with nowadays are water, earth, air, and fire. So in my opinion, the elements are a very basic thing that you should learn early on when you're getting into witchcraft.
There's even a book called Elemental Witchcraft that witches promote for you to learn how to work with magic.
I'm excited to finally share my review of Elemental Witchcraft, turning the wheel through Elemental Witchcraft. So you go through each of the elements. You have earth, air, fire, water, and then you also have spirit.
So very interesting that Pixar's latest production called Elemental, they literally dropped the word witchcraft, but it's still discussing earth, wind, fire, and water. Leviticus 20 verse 6, and the soul that turneth after such that have familiar spirits, and after wizards, and goes a-whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. So the Bible is very clear on us having nothing to do with talking with spirits or engaging in magic and sorcery. But yet that's exactly what they're teaching in some of these kids' programs. Which brings us to Frozen 2. The very theme of this movie is Elsa learning and finding the 4 elements and looking for the 5th element.
You know air, fire, water, and earth. Yes, but look, there's a 5th spirit, said to be a bridge between us and the magic of nature. A 5th spirit? Some say they heard it call out the day the forest fell. My father heard it. Do you think that's who's calling me?
She's basically telling you that the kingdom fell because of the communication with these spirits and messing with magic. Yet Elsa feels like it's not bad.
I woke the magical spirits of the enchanted forest. Wait, the enchanted forest? The one Father warned us about? Yes. Why would you do that? Because of the voice. I know it sounds crazy, but I believe whoever is calling me is good. How can you say that? Look at our kingdom. I know. It's just that my magic can feel it. I can feel it.
This is not a small part of the theme. All throughout Frozen, she's literally looking for these spirits.
Hey guys, meet the wind spirit!
The basic fundamental understanding of witchcraft is when nature speaks, you listen.
We only trust nature when nature speaks. We listen. Fire spirit! Get back, everyone!
Earth giants. battle them like I did the wind and fire. Remember, the goal is to find the voice, find the truth, and get us home.
Here is Elsa addressing all 4 of these elements, which is the basic building blocks of witchcraft.
Air, fire, water, earth.
There's even necromancy in the storyline in Frozen 2. When Elsa is thought to be dead and she hears her grandfather speak, listen to what he says.
Understand?
Grandfather.
We bring Arendel's full guard.
But they have given us no reason not to trust them.
The North Ultra follow magic, which means we can never trust them.
Grandfather?
Magic makes people feel too powerful, too entitled. It makes them think they can defy the will of a king.
That is not what magic does. It's just your fear. Fear is what can't be trusted.
In this storyline, you have a father that's telling you if you mess with magic, it will produce a confidence in you to even defy the will of a king? Do you want your child to learn those kind of concepts, thinking about them spiritually? When Elsa decides that she really wants to see this spirit being that is supposedly calling her or talking to her, she sings this really interesting song.
Are you the way?
Who's the way? The Bible talks about Jesus as being the way, the truth, and the life.
Show yourself. I'm no longer trembling. You are the answer I've waited for. Come to me now. Open your door.
This is Witchcraft 101. She's literally calling the elements in their directions into her space.
So when you call circle, you address each one of the elements in their various directions, and you ask them to join you in your sacred space.
Come to me now.
But the allegory doesn't stop here. In the very end of the story, when Elsa's thought to have died, Anna meets up with her, and look at how she rides up on a horse wearing white. That's a parallel to what happens in the book of Revelation.
Is it really you? Anna. I thought I'd lost you. Lost me? You saved me. And Anna, Arendelle did not fall. It didn't? The spirits all agree. Arendelle deserves to stand with you. You did what was right. For everyone. Did you find the 5th spirit? You are the 5th spirit. You're the bridge. Well, actually, a bridge has 2 sides. And Mother had 2 daughters. We did this together. And we'll continue to do this together.
You're okay! You look different. Did you cut your hair or something?
Or something.
Listen to how they talk about the kingdom falling and the world didn't fall and Elsa didn't die. And then she says, I'm the bridge, the 5th spirit? In witchcraft, that 5th spirit is literally Satan. Look at what is in the storyline of Moana. You have the earth spirit, the fire spirit, the water spirit. All of these elemental witchcraft things are present even in this story. When it has Moana talking to her dead grandmother, that's called necromancy. When you're speaking to the dead, the Bible specifically talks about we should have nothing to do with speaking to the dead.
When that voice starts to whisper, Moana, listen.
It calls me. It's inside me. I know the way.
Once again, the Bible describes Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life. But here this story is planting the idea, saying that what I was looking for out there is actually something that is inside of me, that 5th spirit. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, or anyone who practices divination, or tells fortune, or an interpreter of omens, or a sorcerer, or a charmer, or a medium, or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. Why? Because the spirits that they think they're talking to are not just spirits of somebody that was living before. they're actually demons. And we find the same elements in Raya and the Last Dragon. Each one of the dragons represents a different element, and when they put their magic together, they create the fifth spirit. Let's go all the way back to Pocahontas.
But Grandmother Willow, what is my path?
All around you are spirits, child. They live in the earth, water, the sky. If you listen, they will guide you.
I hear the wind.
Yes. What is it telling you?
So describing that there's spirits all around you and that you should listen to them is a theme that we're starting to see in all of these productions.
I can hear you.
When that voice starts to whisper, Moana, listen.
It calls me.
All around you are spirits, child. They will guide you.
I hear the wind.
The Bible describes a time when Satan is able to counterfeit these elements of the earth, even bringing fire to come down from heaven in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by these signs. So we see that Satan can control the elements of the earth. And what does that actually do? It breaks people's confidence in God. Because when you see a miracle, something that is outside of human understanding, then you have to attribute that to a higher being, either God or, like in elemental witchcraft, if they use the elements in a certain way or they can control them, then what they're doing is taking the power away from God and putting it back in the hands of man. This is why elemental witchcraft is a counterfeit for the miracles of God. The Bible says in Revelation 18:23 that the end of the world will deal with a deception that uses sorcery. So paying attention to all these stories that have these elements in them, magic, sorcery, witchcraft, these are literally numbing your mind to these things, and we know that these are going to be used in the end of time. And this brings me to Pixar's latest movie called Elemental.
Meet the residents of Element City. Air usually has their head in the clouds. Earth can be a little seedy.
Nothing weird going on here.
Water is always getting into something. And fire, we run a little hot.
If you describe a person or place as seedy, you disapprove of them because they look dirty or messy or they have a bad reputation. Notice how they said water gets into everything. Are we supposed to get into everything, or did God actually build fences and boundaries over what we should or should not get involved in? In fire, having a temper that is hot or they run a little hot is not always a good thing. Proverbs 29:11 says, "A fool gives vent to his spirit, but a wise man holds it back." Proverbs 14:29 says, "Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly." And Proverbs 16:32 says, "Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city." So these are not characteristics that are necessarily good ones. Look at how this story sets the stage that everybody lives by only one rule.
We all live by one simple rule.
Elements cannot mix.
So once again, we see in the story, there's a rule, and we start to see all of these elements begin to break the rules.
So you've never left Firetown?
Sorry, buddy. Elements don't mix.
Hey!
Plus, my dad would boil you alive.
Why does anyone get to tell you what you can do in your life?
So look at the spiritual parallel here. There's a father that's telling you to live by the rules, and yet they're beginning to set the stage of these elements begin to break the rules. They begin to mix, yet nothing happens to them.
I've been trying to fill my father's shoes. I never once asked what I wanted to do.
Isn't this a message that is pertinent to the times that we're living in today? That there's some sort of rules, that there's a father that's telling us to live by those rules, yet in this story she's like, why do I want to live by somebody else's rules? I've never asked what I want to do. Even showing you that there is fences that should not be crossed, yet they cross those fences, and once again, nothing happens.
Why do they even have these?
Who knows? So the basic message of this particular production is in line with the message that Satan has been saying from the beginning. You need to live however you want to live and don't listen to the advice that God gives. So don't let these movies place seeds into you or your child's mind that witchcraft is okay to play with. That even though the Bible tells us not to get involved in these things, that nothing big or no big consequence is going to come out of this. Let's steer clear of these kind of things that are planting messages in your mind that are different than what God wants for us in our lives.